So I'm Kelly Harwood, and currently I work in charcoal and chalk and other dry material. Before recently I was painting and into paint, but I made a switch to just drawing. I love the material of paint and I love the color, but like right now I'm just really doing a focus on monochrome, fast image making. Charcoal, I feel much more inventive, and it's highly mutable, so it like comes and goes and appears and disappears very quickly. And with paint, I was feeling a little slowed down, like by just the process and making a form, like finding just the right color to make the form turn. Whereas I'm working in monochrome now, and I can make the form very fast and then change it again very fast. So, and I'm also very interested in photographs, photographic process. I did that at the very beginning of my art exploration. Like in high school, that was my way in, through taking photographs. I have a collection of old photographs that I've found at flea markets, specifically Brimfield in Western Mass. And so those I go back to again and again. Since I don't really know who the people are, it's always like just a jumping off point for me. I'm not trying to represent the people, represent their identities, or like critique the history in any way. I'm not a historian at all, but I'm really drawn to the aesthetics of an old photograph and the aesthetics of a time past, and not in a nostalgic way, but just in sort of a curious way. Like clothes looked so different back then.
Like time traveling.
Totally time traveling, yeah. And in this dream space, like in the studio space, it really lends itself to sort of just letting your imagination go. But it is informed by actual photographs. I'm not really a collector of things. I like to bring things into the studio and then take them out again, because it's adds like a freshness, like new eyes on a new thing in a new place is exciting to me in this new light. But I do have certain objects, shells and bottles, and there's a costume store on this floor, and the woman who runs it is very generous with letting me borrow specific clothes that I can use to paint from, because I do like to paint and draw from observation. So recently I've been drawing these shells, which are such beautiful forms, and these are my shells that my kids have collected over the years. And it's not a huge collection, but for me, the forms are just beautiful, and they resonate with my work in terms of these old photographs, because they are things that have been around for a long time and have had sort of another life before they ended up here. This past year I've been looking at one particular old photograph of a World War II soldier. The photograph I found at a flea market, so I don't really know anything about him. So for me it's a good jumping off spot for imagining different narratives. Juxtaposing the soldier with forms of shells, and seeing what that does when I draw something from observation, like a shell that has a beautiful form, and then put it next to a figure, also a beautiful form, in a uniform, which has certain connotations. I call it the shell collector. So I wanted to read sort of as a portrait, but another read is that it's a shell collection. But I think with any kind of collection, you think about who collected it and why they collected it. so no painting, so that's new for me. And I'm also working on these die-bonds, so it's like a stiff drawing, so it's almost like an object, a drawn object. Die-bond is great because you can actually work right on it. It's aluminum, so you can sand it, put gesso on it, but also it's a super slick surface, so it's easy to mount things on it. Like in this series, I feel like there's a beginning and an end, and that the thing that's happening in the middle is this general is changing. The same image, but changing over time. He's actually getting a little smaller and different parts are coming in and out of focus. So you can do that with charcoal very, very easily. So I imagine the piece is read pretty much top to bottom. You can read it in other ways, like there's a shell every other image, so you can read it as like a whole shell collection, but I see it as being a series, and also in that there's like a close-up, like you get the conch shell far away and then you get a close-up, and then come back again. So it's like different ways a camera might move. I love working in charcoal. I feel very comfortable with it, like nothing to lose, very free and inventive. I've done open studios every year since 2009, I think, or 2010, and it's a great event. I totally love doing it, and even if I don't have a great body of work up that I feel super great about, I just love the conversations that with the community members, because the diversity is huge, and you never know what kind of conversation you're going to have with whoever might walk in the door. It's always a weekend of like fun surprises, so I'm really going to miss that. And then also seeing the other artists' work. It's always a great weekend to just take an hour and like run through the beehive of space and see all the different practices and different materials, and it's just inspiring. So, I'm gonna miss it.